You see the truth behind the lies. You long to break free. Welcome, my digital friend. You have come to the collective channel to free your mind. Are you ready to exit the matrix?
Yeah.
Welcome back for more with Andrea Firpo, the psychic cheerleader. She is focused on soul liberation and embodiment using her psychic and intuitive abilities combined with her background in trauma psychology. With our hosts Joe and Christy, and joining us again is Bob from Exit the Matrix.
Support this channel by visiting asaricrystals.com. Asari crystals are precision cut by Paul Jensen. He uses Marcel Vogel's technique to amplify the crystal. Asari crystals are tools for evolution. They're created for healers and psychics. These are powerful tools that can assist with spiritual growth and protection. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, I just don't think you're walking around trying to live your life and pay your bills and stuff, and you don't know why you feel so heavy. And it's not even just all your stuff, it's everybody else's and all their ideas and conditioning. Having energy work and going to somebody like you, I think can be profoundly life-changing. Have you had any like special clients that just really changed their whole life after sessions with you?
I mean, I would like to say that I change everybody's life in profound ways, but that's probably pretty much my ego talking there. I mean, I work with women primarily. I do work with men. I work with women primarily, and I think my most favorite clients is when it trickles through the family. So either I start working with one person and then I work with their partner, and then I have the opportunity to either work with a mother, or I get to work with a sister, or I get to work with I like it when it starts to trickle through the family. That's when I feel like it's been the most fulfilling or gratifying for me, is that when somebody comes to my retreat and then they're like, my daughter, really, I want you and my daughter to work together. I trust you with my daughter. That's really been transformative for me. I would say that, I've had all kinds of experiences. I've had, an anorexic who essentially was, just out of the hospital. She's, gained 30 pounds and is healthy body weight and has a very different perspective of her life now, because she's gotten to the root of what was essentially at her anorexia in a very quick way. I'm very straightforward in my approach, and I don't waste anybody's time. So I'm not for everybody. I definitely say exactly truth. So, not everybody's ready for truth too. So, yes, even the people that haven't loved what they've heard from me, I would say I still have changed their life, because, they certainly, even if they had a bad, or they weren't very receptive to the information, they certainly made different choices based upon meeting me. So I would say, I'm quite proud of that particular client with the anorexia, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that I got to work with that family, and that the woman who was the mother essentially went to my retreat because of a different person that I worked with. I just love that people refer me. And I think that means the most to me. I think you mentioned off air before we were starting this tonight that I'm not really looking to become famous more than I am really looking to serve people, and the people that really speak my language, or that I feel that I can actually help. Yeah, I mean, I think that it just depends on what people are coming to see me. Usually people come to see me when they have tried a lot of things and they are looking for an answer. They really want, they're done being in pain. They want to see it truth. They want to see what they're missing. They want to change. They're at a dead end. They can't take it anymore. And, they haven't been able to get the answer, or they're kind of done with,
Like,
their
I need help.
yeah, they're like, please help me. Yeah. So I'm not afraid of anything. I've again seen a lot of different types of trauma. So I tend to work with people that are pretty high on the scale of trauma. Not to say that I can't help other people too, but the most transformative work for me has been around the fact that I'm so relatable to a lot of people's wounding, because even if I haven't experienced their experience, I've experienced something like that. And so I'm just relatable. I'm very neutral in my experience of it at this point, because I've learned how to heal it in myself. And so other people want a piece of that. They're like, how could you have been raped and feel this way about it? And I'm like, well, this is the process in doing that. These are the steps around that. And your journey will look a little bit different than mine, but I do know the way through. Right back to the psychic cheerleader. I kind of link up arm in arm with you, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this together. You're no longer alone. Here we go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? You've been pretty.
Andrea, I was gonna ask you, so when you're working with people, treating them, do you primarily work with your spirit guides? Do you use your higher self, or do you use, perhaps the universe, the source, God? Kind of what's your primary source that you draw off of?
Thank you for asking. So I use a combination of things. I channel my higher self a lot of times, especially when I'm working one-on-one with people, for sure. I channel that information rather than my ego. I tap into that. I do have a spirit team that I work with, and I work with 2 guides in particular that were specifically assigned to me through the clairvoyant training or the program. One is a psychic surgeon. And so it just depends on the individual person and what their needs are. I will not attest to the fact that I can tap into intergalactic federation and channel those. I have never practiced that, but I do absolutely. I'm in conversation with my team all day, every day, either through my own practice or through working with other people, because that's how I live my life. I don't insist that you live your life that way, but if you have interest in that, or you want to develop those abilities, or have access or resources, or can refer you to somebody who can develop something that you're interested in that maybe I don't have as much experience in, I'm happy to do that for my clients as well, or the people that I work with. But for the most part, yes, I would say that it's mostly my higher self and then my spirit team that I work with. Yes.
Awesome. Let's see. Sorry, I had I had a question I was holding for a little while. I didn't want to interrupt you though, because you guys had a really great back and forth going. Interesting. You were talking a lot earlier in the conversation about, different waves of, spirits come into this third dimensional construct. That to me sounded very familiar to what Dolores Cannon teaches.
Yes.
Have you read some of her stuff and followed some of her teachings?
I have not read anything of hers, and I should. I absolutely should. Do I have her stuff? Oh no, I'm thinking of Bringers of the Dawn. Okay, so I have not. I've watched maybe one of her videos, but that's also my own experience or understanding of my own spiritual evolution too, is that I really do feel like yeah, it's come in waves. It's absolutely come in waves. And I feel like each generation, well, I feel like, okay, I feel like this school of life here on earth is very popular. I feel like everyone wants to be here. And I feel like the generations below us, anyone that's coming at this point, are, significantly gifted, because that's, essentially where we are moving. I don't feel that, 200 years ago, that was the case of Earth, right? We were living in a very different field of energy, as well as dimension, in the density, as far as my understanding. So I guess I know this, and I know this from what I've read, from the mentorships that I've had, and from the resources that I've attained, both through my own knowledge, through my own claircognizance, as well as through that mirrored, around in my environment. That's my understanding of it. Yes.
Awesome. How do you approach working with somebody that's more analytical, not as spiritual, as opposed to somebody that is more open-minded and spiritual? I guess how would you know, treat both of those people, I guess come at those two situations?
That's a fantastic question. So, and I think I really do a good job of trying to do that. Again, I'm not here to change your belief system at all. That is not my goal. My goal is to enhance that. So if that means that you don't believe in a lot of the things, or maybe you're at least just open to the fact that I'm a Reiki master and energy healer, and that you don't have resistance around me doing that around you, I'm still going to be doing that around you, obviously through intention. If you believe that something's true and have less resistance around it, you're going to receive it more, or get more healing, or allow more healing in. Your higher self is going to allow more healing in. And through intention, right, through that partnership of you and I believing or co-creating that, it's going to intensify that healing. That doesn't mean I can't help you also without you having a deep core understanding or belief, right? So, if somebody's more analytical, or they're more psychology based, or they can, maybe talk about the science with me, then we're going to find tools that are science based, right? That are more within the seeing and believing, as opposed to the unseen. And I can still do that unseen work as long as I have your permission, and I'm never going to force healing on somebody. That's not the goal. The goal is to be of service and to get your permission, or you allow me to help you, because I can't ultimately heal you. You have to heal you, so it's a co-collaboration. And to the extent that you believe that to be true, or a way that I can explain that to you, that you are willing to adopt, or are open to that possibility or that reality, then we will work through that. That's a lot of the times why a lot of my work is psychology based, right? Is to kind of jump that hurdle and be less woo-woo about what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I was noticing that I noticed you kind of walked the psychology line a little bit, and the energetic healing. I liked a lot what you were just mentioning about the intention. You know, I know a lot of times people, maybe they've never had like energy healing done on them, energy work done on them, and they go into it very skeptical, and just the fact that they go into that skeptical, like say if they go to a Reiki, teacher, Reiki healer, they're right away their energy field's going to be closed off, and it's going to make it a lot harder for that person to be able to work with them. And um I just think a lot of people don't realize if they want to experience energy healing, that they've got to have an open mind. And even if they're not sure what's going to happen, they got to at least, allow it, and allow with that intention in their mind and their being. And I just think that's powerful. I don't know if you have really done much studying into quantum physics, and you know, I mean, already the science is coming along with this stuff.
Totally.
It's everything is, as you know, made of energy. There is no such thing as solid form. It's all an illusion to our senses. And so I think sometimes people that are very analytical and they struggle with the spiritual side of things and the energetic side. I think it's always good for, you know, sometimes that can open the door for people, if they really look at the quantum side of that, because the scientists are coming this way now.
They are.
And
Mhm.
Even Tesla was woo woo. He
Yeah.
oh
was.
yeah,
Nikola Tesla.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also back to that, Bob, with regards to having a lot of resistance around, not allowing an energy healing. And I always tell people too that, for instance, if I go into guided meditation with you and you fall asleep, a lot of times your ego needs to be asleep. So we are still receiving with our higher selves at all times. So people kind of freak out. They're like, oh no, I fell asleep. And it's like, well, that's okay. Your higher self is always listening. So irregardless of whether or not your ego is arguing with me about whether or not all of this is real, you're still getting the information, so we are all connected spiritually and energetically, regardless of what our ego tells us is truth. So you're still, even in being in my presence, you're going to receive Reiki. I turned it on before I even started this podcast, so essentially you're always receiving Reiki with me, and you don't have to believe it. You're just going to benefit by being around me. You're going to benefit by the fact that I do it on myself, and that my energy is more clear. You're going to benefit from that. So there are multiple benefits, whether or not you believe it to be true. And you don't have to know that much about it to know that you feel differently when you're around me, or you feel differently when you're in my space, or you feel differently around my presence. You just do. And, everyone understands feelings in the sense that there are subtleties there. Maybe you can't figure out exactly why Andrea feels differently, but she feels differently than, let's say, your mother-in-law or whoever, right? And so we do pick up on people's energy, and we are always receiving what we need. We're always receiving what we need.
Yeah, definitely. Do you do long distance Reiki sessions with people?
I don't do just Reiki anymore. I do Reiki attunements because I'm a Reiki master teacher, but I just give Reiki away for free. Because I feel like everybody, with permission, of course, but yes, you are essentially, in a recipient, because I already set intentions for this podcast, and I already turned on long distance Reiki when I started it. I'm not forcing it on you, but it is a part of you and I agreeing, and our higher self already agreed to this podcast, before today and before I got the email for Christy, right? We decided that before we even came here that we were going to meet up and do this. So I do think
definitely.
certain events are predestined.
I was asking that, partly for the viewers, because I know on my page, I have a lot of people on both, kind of both types of wavelengths, like thinking about, some are very, religious, and some are more spiritual. And, me personally, I find a lot of therapeutic help, and I'll listen to, YouTubers that do long distance Reiki sessions. And I feel it personally. I can feel it working on my chakras. And it's some people, I don't think they realize what they're missing out on by being kind of close-minded to energy healing, because there's a lot of Reiki masters, and not just Reiki, there's other energy healing techniques out there, but there's plenty of people that give that out for free. And I think a lot of people could benefit from that. And maybe because they're worried about religious viewpoints or, different things, they don't take advantage of that. So, you know,
I would say to the religious people, I mean, I don't know who you work with or who you work with, but you can always ask for God, Jesus, Allah, whoever you want, Buddha, to come in while you're receiving energy. I mean, it's not separate. It's
Yeah, we're not trying to exclude anyone. Yeah. And a lot of times we'll say God, source, universe, divine, whoever you are calling in right now, God, yeah, it's all the same. It's not a competition. And I was raised religious. So I was raised, Christian and went to Catholic high school. So I certainly understand religion, and if that's your belief system, again, I'm not here to change what that looks like for you, because essentially prayer is just communicating with a source higher than you. So, you are connecting in, and if you want to connect in through your pineal gland and imagine, have a meditation where you visually are able to co-create things, or you are praying to God and asking for help, whatever that way of connecting in and receiving information, right? And not just letting my ego be in charge 24 hours a day, all day.
yeah,
Then I'm
definitely.
willing to
Yeah,
receive
thanks for answering
information.
those.
Yes.
Thanks for the. It's good just to, because I do have such a wide variety of people on my page, that it's good to, that you answered some of those, because some people are definitely either afraid or they're closed-minded about stuff, or they're just curious. And I think it's good for people to hear that. And I know some people get caught up on a lot of the different energy practices, the symbols and the incantations and stuff. And I don't think they realize, like, really all that is just focusing your intentions.
Mhm.
Like the Reiki symbols, or incantations that, like, maybe or shamans do and stuff. It's all pulling from the same source. The source of creation. The source of all energy in the universe. So, I think that's it's always fascinated me.
They're mnemonics to get you to trigger a mindset for that intention.
I would say so. I mean, it helps you just focus or pinpoint. I mean, Shokare, you're like, there it is. Fired up. Calling Jesus. Whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Well, sorry, I don't usually say the word, the symbol out loud. So I was thinking about that. I don't usually say it in public out loud. So, I was thinking that, Reiki itself, the word Reiki is just, if you're loosely translating it, it's God's love. So it is compassionate, lighter energy flow, or what, if you went to yoga and they're talking about prana, the word ki, the part of ki of Reiki is source energy. That's what ki means. It's chi. It's another word for chi. And chi is just life source energy, or prana, right? And we receive prana through breath. We receive prana through meditation. We receive Reiki by being attuned and having symbols placed in each of our chakras, which allows that higher vibrational energy to flow through our body when we turn it on. So that's all we're being attuned to. It's not necessarily that it's a special club, or that not everyone can do it. Everyone can be attuned to Reiki, right? So it's just through, yeah, I guess intention, absolutely, that you are pulling in higher energy than yourself, or you're pulling in source energy, you're pulling in God's love, in a time of need. And really, more than anything, I think Reiki teaches you, or energy healing teaches you, to ask for what you need. Because a lot of times we think we're alone here on this planet and that no one cares about us. We get really stuck in that story. Like, no one cares. That person has problems too. That person's, whatever it is that we've told ourselves about our experience, that's not teaching us to ask for more. And so, through prayer, or through meditation, or through turning your Reiki on, or however you're tapping into that and asking for more than what you currently have, or being in a place of receptivity for either energy or information to flow through you so that you can get guidance or compassion or love in a time of need. And to remind you that you are so much larger than your experience here, that you always can reach and get help if you need it. It's just right above you. And there really isn't that much separating you. It would probably freak most people out, if they realize that there really isn't any separation here, that it's all here. It's just at a different density, right? We're so much more dense down here. So yeah, that's more than anything what I feel like energy healing is that you're just asking for more in your life. And there's nothing wrong with asking for more in your life. So it teaches you self-love and self-care, right? More than anything. It's giving back to you, or calling your energy back. It's the same practice. And each, lineage, for instance, shamanism has a way of doing that. Reiki has a way of doing that. Clairvoyant instruction has a way of doing that. We all have a way to protect ourselves, to call our energy back to ourselves, to protect, there's, similar aspects. We were all trying to figure it out at different stages throughout history and time in different places in the world, but we all kind of are looking for, more.
Well, if everything is energy, and we're energies because we're part of everything. So, and like you were saying, it's just above us in a lower density. We're like if you look at it like a cloud, and we're a dense spot in the cloud, but we're moving. Our energy is all around. We're the part of that cloud, the bigger cloud. And our energies interact with each other. Every time we come near each other, we interact with each other. Our energies exchange. And you can pull in that energy from the cloud when you need a particular kind of energy. And so you kind of visualize yourself as a vaporous being, and your vapors interact with all of the cloud around you.
Yeah, you're just an organism.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an organism with a mind, right? A really big mind. But essentially, you're like a jellyfish.
Yeah.
Maybe less stingy, depending on who you are. But you're just like kind of absorbing and flowing through your environment, right?
Yeah, we're not walking, we're kind of flowing.
Yes.
I would say to somebody who's afraid of energy healing is like, trust your gut. Your gut is your guidance. So, there's going to be weirdos in every aspect of every religion, every spiritual healing. There's bizarre things going on everywhere. And you have to use your inner knowing and your gut to know if it's right for you or not. And you shouldn't be fear-based. That's not a healthy way to be. So be open to receive goodness, and don't be afraid, and trust your gut. So if you go somewhere and it doesn't feel right, and it does sometimes, it's not for everybody, you just move on to the next thing and keep searching your knowledge, and don't be fear-based.
Yeah. And learning discernment, right? Yeah. Learning what is right for you. I can't tell you what is right for you. Only you know what is right for you.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you try Reiki and you're like, I didn't feel anything, I didn't notice anything, then don't use Reiki, right? But yes, absolutely. Just being open to trying new things, right? To being able to shift things in your life in a way that maybe you didn't have any exposure to. And again, there are, yes, like you said, there are different variations of the same thing for each uh profession. For instance, there are good doctors and there are not so great doctors. There are great holistic practitioners and not so great holistic practitioners. It just depends on how they were trained. And yes, so absolutely use your gut. I think that's absolutely what I would probably encourage people to do. That's really great wisdom.
You always
Yeah.
say doubt means don't.
Yeah, doubt means don't.
That's your gut is giving you that doubt. So
Yeah, always. Yeah, so I don't know if that will help, Bob, but
Yeah. I mean, more the question was more for the viewers. I mean, I'm open. Obviously, I mean, my wife is a Reiki master, so I mean, I'm open to that stuff. I've had Reiki done on me, and I know it's beneficial. And like I said, when I need a quick Reiki session, I honestly, I'll go to YouTube. I have a couple favorite Reiki masters on there that do long distance Reiki. So, I wish more people would look into energy healing, and you know, I think it could do a lot for a lot of people, and instead of getting kind of caught up in like religious dogmas and stuff, that everything's the devil, or everything's like demonic. I see that so much. It's like, are you crazy? I mean, Yeshua was healing people by touch, and he even said the kingdom of heaven is within. It basically saying God is within all of us, which, earlier, how I mentioned Dolores Cannon, Andrea, I was asking about, if you followed her at all or, read her stuff. Well, it's kind of interesting what she says. She says that, like you said earlier, the earth is a school, where we're supposed to learn and go through experiences. And what Dolores Cannon was saying is that basically it's a school and a training ground, so that eventually we're being trained to be eventually, all spirits, as they go up in levels, and they increase in knowledge and understanding, and eventually, we'll be our own creators of other worlds, helping to co-create with the creator of all, the source energy. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I really found that fascinating when she talked about that.
Well, a lot of my training also, like I do theta healing. I've been attuned to a number of different healing modalities because there was a point where I couldn't get enough of it. I'll be honest.
Wait.
I kind of jumped down head first into that rabbit hole, so to speak. So I've tried a lot of things, and sorry, back to your original question. I guess that's a lot of my insight too comes from Viana Steibel as well. She speaks to that. But yes, I also, I follow, like on Quora, I follow somebody who does past life regression. I have questions from everybody that I just kind of source information from too. And I believe that yes, we do come here to learn certain things. We really come here to learn life lessons with our soul family. It is predestined who we're going to meet. We don't have everything completely mapped out, but anybody who's significant in our life, we absolutely had an agreement, right? And that we keep showing up in each other's lives to kind of remind each other of why we're here. And that is your awakening process. You are consistently awakening to, why are you here? What is it that you were choosing to learn? What are the things that you're overcoming? What virtues did you learn? What were the spiritual gifts in that particular experience? And so that you can evolve higher. Or what I would like to say is, I'm here to accrue as little amount of karma as possible. So I'm trying to learn my lessons. I really don't want to repeat it over and over again if possible, either in this lifetime or any future ones, right? And so it's not a matter of being perfect while I'm here, but I certainly try to be as awake as I can be. And what can that possibly be with my ego intact? I don't know. I maybe get, my goal might be 75% of my day that I'm actually awake. And the rest of the time I'm half asleep, just doing stuff that is either programmed in or, that I've been repeating as a pattern since I was 3 or whatever it might be. But yes, I do think that the goal of being here, if there was a life purpose, right, is that we are all evolving what we know, and that at the end of our lives, we do something called a life review and we judge ourselves. We don't my understanding or belief is that, we don't have somebody judging us, that we actually judge ourselves with our life guide, and that we decide from there what we're going to choose to do as far as how we want to evolve from there. And more than likely, we're not going to come back here immediately, because this is hard. This is really hard, and not everyone wants to be here at the same time, but once they get here, they forget that, and then they don't want to be here anymore. So this is a lot of hard work, and so we might take a rest period, but then we also will come back. And a lot of us have been here many times too. There is no like brand new soul necessarily. I'm not saying there isn't, but most of us have had multiple lifetimes here, or different experiences here. So yes, we're coming here to evolve and, potentially, yeah, I guess co-create other planets or places. I don't have any personal recollection of that myself, but I don't question that to not be true. And then back to the religion thing, right? I wanted to talk to you about that too, because you mentioned, and I didn't want to interrupt you, about people thinking like it's from the devil, or, thinking that energy healing is wrong or bad or whatever. And again, I mentioned that I grew up religious, and so I do understand that thinking. And to that person, I just wanted to, speak to that person that maybe is doubting that this could be really useful for them, or that they have a lot of blocks around believing that anything that they can't see could possibly be that easy, or why haven't they learned this before, or whatever their resistance might be around it. Is it true, or is it possible, or is it real? I would just say, the wonderful part about being more open-minded is that you actually realize that you have more possibilities, and that you can be a co-creator. I was raised, and I'll only speak to my own experience, and maybe this isn't everyone's experience with religion, but religion often teaches me that the power is outside of myself, that I have to pray to something else or ask for something else to help me. And I'm not saying that isn't still true, but it also absolves me of having any power or responsibility or control over my own situation myself. And so in doing energy healing, maybe that's opening you up to the idea that actually you have more power over your experience while you're here, that maybe you actually can change things for yourself too in that co-creation. So that's more, in line with energy healing, right? It's just a more open modality to healing than me praying to Jesus to ask for help. It's not to say that as in the work that I do, that I don't call in Jesus as an archangel and or a higher vibration and ask for their help, right? So that we just go about it differently, right?
Yeah, thanks for explaining. Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
So how would somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to come and meet you in person or connect with you online?
I am mostly available on social media when it comes to Instagram. That would be where you would find me the most. And you can absolutely go to my website, Andrea Firpo, which is my first and last name, and find out more about the retreats that I do or the individual sessions or Reiki attunement. And I work with people individually or in group format or through classes or community events. I also teach a program. And so, I can work with you in person. And again, I can work with people all over the world and do. So I certainly work through Zoom. I've done, Skype or whichever. So you don't have to be local to Portland to have the opportunity to work with me. Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited because I do have family in Portland that I'm definitely going to send to you.
Oh, awesome. I would love that. That would be great. I would love that. I would love to meet them. Yeah.
My two daughters are out there.
And have that connection too. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
See, it just happens. Family is introducing and it just keeps going. I when you were telling me that, I'm like, oh, I'm sending my daughters to you.
Oh, thank you for trusting me. I mean, as we do this work, right, it ripples out. I mean, just that's a good representation, right? My modality or the way that I was articulating my most favorite parts of working with people or what my transformational stories or what means the most to me, like is representational of just our individual work that we do. Like we ripple out too. As I start to work on myself, I impact my daughter and you impact your daughter, as we continue to do our work here, we all can impact each other. And that's what's so cool about it. Mm-hmm.
The little light bulbs are turning on everywhere.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Bob, do you have any more questions or anything you want to add?
No, I just it's been awesome talking to you, Andrea, and appreciate you coming on with us three, and just yeah, it's been great. That's all I can really say. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to get to know you too. And I appreciate your really thoughtful questions and your patience as I kind of jump all over the place. But thank you too for your insight and your wisdom.
It's been great. And I had so much fun listening to your stories and how you broke it down was really cool. So I think our viewers are going to really enjoy watching the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you so much for finding me and for the invitation and for the time. And yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming on.